So today on the first episode of this podcast, the Suncrest podcast, I guess we're calling it, we have two lovely people here that I've known for a long time. If you're new to this, it's actually brand new, so don't worry about being up to speed. It's not sequential, it's just happening in real time. There's no script. I don't know what camera to talk to, but let me introduce our guests, the Esplins, Chris and Melissa Esplin.
Hello.
Hey.
Okay.
Here we are.
So I'll give you everyone some backstory on how I know you guys. When I moved into the neighborhood 5 years ago, these are some of the first people I met. My wife met Melissa.
Yep.
And then bumped into Chris, and Chris was a little bit stoic, didn't want to say much initially, but then we got talking, and it turns out we have a lot in common. So why don't you introduce how long you've been in Suncrest for, and people who don't know you, how long you've been here and why you stayed.
All right. We moved in 2012.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Early-ish days.
early-ish. There are another family of Esplins on our street, and we've been here by 6 months. I have to state that up front. We were the first Esplins in Suncrest, and particularly on Walnut Grove.
You own the names Esplin.
No, we don't. Well, we share it. We share it with the other Esplins.
Oh, yeah.
We just have to. We got there. We got here first.
Assert seniority.
Yeah, by a few months.
Is this going to bother the Esplins saying this?
No, we talk about it.
Is this news to them?
No.
They're fourth cousins.
They are fourth cousins.
Well, it's as far apart as you can be and be Esplins in Utah.
Okay, so that's
So
like
that means
one street?
The great grandpa Esplin was the one who came over from Scotland, and we're all from him. But the families grew very rapidly and spread out after a couple of decades.
But not just in Utah. They've moved out of Utah.
They moved out, but stayed in this sort of like
Okay.
the LDS corridor.
The Utah corridor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Arizona, Idaho, Colorado. Yeah.
So there's multiples on multiple streets is what you're getting at. There's lots.
Yeah.
There are lots, but in Suncrest it's just the two families.
Okay.
So we're special.
And then Melissa, you're obviously married to Chris, but what's,
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we moved up here in 2012. Funny enough,
Yeah.
I'm friends with the previous owners of the house.
Of your house now.
Yes.
I
And
didn't know
so we had a terrible time finding a house. Like our realtor was showing homes that were just the worst. We were getting pretty discouraged,
Yep.
to be honest. And then my friend calls me up. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I have to tell you, we're moving to North Dakota." They were moving to North Dakota.
That's when all the shale revolution
oil.
stuff was really like kicking off.
The oil stuff?
Well, 2012. I guess it was later.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
Yeah, they were.
So-
Where were you living before? You were living
We were in Orem.
Yeah, we were living in a really weird part of Orem.
It was a weird
Not
part.
in love with it at all.
No.
There are good parts of Orem,
There
but there
are.
was a weird
This
part.
was-
There are also parts of Orem in which I was not excited to live. And
It was,
No hate on any other neighborhoods.
no, we don't want to hate on anybody else.
But when we moved there, we were, yeah, it was tight. So
Anyway, so
your friends-
my friend calls me up and she's like, "I'm devastated. We're moving to North Dakota." And we get going, we're talking, and she's like, "Yeah, no, I have to list my house." And like, I don't know, it was probably pretty tacky. I was like, "So you really like your house, huh?" She's like, "Yeah, I love it. It's just like the best little house." I'm like, "So is there any way I could probably afford that house?" She's like, "Come over right now." So I drove up there here and walked in the house and was like, "Okay, Chris really needs to see this. Is this weird?" And so,
Yeah.
we made sure to go through realtors and we made sure it was not weird. Because I feel like sometimes those transactions can go
Like with a friend, you mean?
weird. Yeah.
Like, it could go sideways,
it was
becomes a
official.
frenemy.
He had a relo company anyway, so we were going through their relo guys. And
Yeah.
The relo company sold the house to us, not them. Like it
Yeah.
was fun.
Yeah.
So Suncrest, it found you through a friend. Chris wasn't aware of it, but you kind of were
we
roped
were
into it.
sort of aware.
We had another friend who moved up here, the Gustafsons. They're down in Edge now, but I thought, oh, we'll never move up here. Like that's middle of nowhere. That's the weirdest spot. I don't want to live up there. And I did come up here once to buy a motorcycle, and so I had been up here before to buy this motorcycle.
It's like this is in the middle of nowhere.
It felt so weird.
In 2012,
finding
it
my
was
way
a
up here.
different place.
Oh,
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it still kind of is in the middle of nowhere just because there's, no grocery stores, no gas stations really, no.
If you're not familiar with the area and you don't understand how the streets work and everything, it's
You're like,
already
oh, it's in
isolated, yeah.
Draper. And then you keep driving. You're like, this is not Draper.
It's never going to end going uphill.
yeah, it's so bizarre.
Uh-huh.
But then we saw the house and we liked the house and I just sort of made peace with it. And So we moved in really quickly.
Uh-huh.
And immediately as we were moving in, the fires off in Alpine were kicking off.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So like 12 years ago,
Yeah.
there were fires out in Alpine, like just as we moved in.
The day after we moved in, I could see smoke from our driveway.
And you're like, I should have bought more insurance.
The thought that was running through my head was, well, everything's in boxes, but I don't know which ones are the important boxes. So I was kind of freaking out. Like, we had no internet, which means we also had no cell phone coverage.
That was
no
your first
anything.
week here?
We were, yes. So I was just like, I don't know if we're supposed to be evacuating or not.
Oh my word.
In retrospect,
It was not that big a deal, but
like 2 canyons over, it was fine. But
yeah, that was definitely an exciting way to move into the neighborhood. And then and we got lucky because our driveway is south facing. We didn't realize how important south facing driveway would be living up in Suncrest.
Brings up a point I want to
all the
touch
poor
on.
souls with the north facing driveways. Or like
I'm
you guys.
north facing.
Your whole house is like in the shade.
So there's one point I want to pick up on real quick that I love to explore with you, Chris, is you mentioned the Edge Homes area, not the Suncrest area. So you were here so long ago that didn't exist.
Oh yeah, it didn't exist.
So explain that to people who don't know.
Rode bikes. That was part of the bike. Those were there were trails over there.
There's nothing there.
Yeah,
right?
so there are Strava segments that go right through the middle of homes.
So you'd come ride your bike up here? Is that so? You had some experience up here before moving here? and
Not much.
Or none?
No, just buying a motorcycle from a guy down in Maple Hollow once, and knowing friends that had moved up here, and then we saw the house and we bought it immediately.
We
And
thought we'd be here for maybe like a couple years.
Oh, you were planning just staying for
We're
a
like,
bit.
oh, it's a starter home.
Oh.
yeah,
But it's a
we were-
nice house. It's
Well,
yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
No, it's just
It's fine.
it's great. No,
It was builder grade. Everything.
We've
it was,
improved it significantly since then.
well, it had like really awful carpet and slate. I hate slate. It's impossible to clean.
So the inside wasn't. You weren't in love with the inside of the home.
It was.
no.
It was good, but it wasn't like this is gonna last for us forever. Good.
Yeah. So after a few, it was
Okay,
within
that makes sense.
within 5 years, we were like itching to remodel.
Yeah, the kitchen itself was really tiny. There was no counter space. Like it's just.
So we gutted that whole section of the house. And
Like you personally did, like you.
No, we hired someone to do it.
But you contracted it out. You did
Yeah,
everything.
I gutted that whole section of the house and our bedroom.
Yep. Yeah, we
And
got
we got rid of all the carpet and did flooring and.
Who puts one sink in a master bathroom? That's my question. Who on earth puts one sink in a master bathroom?
That is a good question.
Like it makes.
I don't have the answer, but it's a good
tiny
question.
little sink.
That was it, and we were
So
constantly
when you're
fighting
brushing
over.
your teeth, were you both huddled over one?
Huge
Oh,
counter.
I couldn't. Since I got pregnant with our first 16 plus years ago, I could not be in the same room as him while he brushed his teeth because it made me gag when I was pregnant. And so then it was a problem for us for a long time.
Yeah,
I'm not over it now, but
I'm over it now.
No, I did all my business in the other bathroom.
we had divorced
years.
Brushing your
bathrooms
teeth business,
basically. Yes.
specifically.
all of it.
Yeah.
I showered, did everything in the other bathroom. I didn't use our main bathroom. She used that was her bathroom.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, we just divorced bathrooms.
Yeah.
So that was, you were there 5 years, separate bathrooms. You remodeled the house, but was it your first home being married, or did you?
It was our first home.
first home.
home. Yeah.
Yeah, that we bought.
We'd bumped between. We'd had rentals for
Rentals.
like a bunch of years.
So it was a big deal.
5 years.
I mean, it was. You're still there today.
Yeah.
How long you been in that house now?
12 years.
12 years.
12 years.
Yeah,
So you
I
beat
don't
the
know.
Esplins by just a little bit.
We beat them. We'll always be ahead of them. I don't think either of us are ever going to move. Like,
No, I think we're going to live on the same street forever.
yeah, it's
That's
kind of
great.
crazy. We've tried a few times and just not been able to. It's just not
No.
worked out. We're just here forever.
So one thing about Suncrest I think is really amazing, because I've been here 5 years, is you notice there's kind of a cycle of people coming in and coming out. You know, there's kind of this revolving door effect with, we may get to the snow and the weather in a second here, but was there a moment when you moved in you were like, oh, this is my forever home? Because you mentioned 2 years initially. Was there a point in that 2 years where you started transitioning into, I don't want to leave? What changed?
So I think Suncrest it's a catalyst for people. Either they
Okay.
realize like we're not outdoor people
Mm-hmm.
and we're going down the mountain and we don't want to do the commute or any number of reasons, or it transforms you I like to, I was previously an indoor cat. Like I never went outside, didn't exercise, didn't do anything at all. And
Nothing.
then, no.
Zero.
No. I bought my first pair of winter boots. I literally did not have winter boots before I moved up here. Like
Utah?
I grew up here.
You're from Utah, right?
I'm from Utah. I wore flip-flops in high school in the winter. That's what we wore. Like it was just like kind of dumb. And I hated winter, obviously. So then we move up here. I'm finally like, oh, I should probably get a real pair of boots. Get my first pair of sorrels. And then it dawns on me, winter's not terrible. I've just always been poorly prepared. And so then it started like the gear hoarding. Mm. And then eventually, well, he got on the mountain biking thing pretty quickly.
So he jumped on that mountain biking.
Oh, yeah.
Mountain bike, Chris,
about
still.
a year and a half after we moved in, I'd had a mountain bike before. It was a piece of garbage. I got a new one that was much better.
Yes.
And really enjoyed it. And realized, oh, this is what I do now. And
this is me now.
Immediately, it became me. Yeah,
Yes.
it's like my whole personality and identity is now shifted to this mountain bike.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I spent all my time mountain biking, and
Yeah.
I still do.
Some of my friends joke that drugs would be cheaper than mountain biking if you chose that addiction. Yeah.
It may be. Huh?
Yeah, it depends on how frequently you buy bikes and who you buy bikes from. But yes. Well, and it's funny because, I didn't.
But yes.
But yes. So, we had fixed gear bikes, little fixie singles.
On the mountain?
No,
before.
I commuted downtown on a fixie for years.
Oh, okay.
So I loved fixie commuting and single speeds.
Yeah. So we moved up here. I still had my fixie. And I was like, well, there's no way I'm going to be biking up here. Because back in the olden days when Penelope was itty bitty.
And Penelope's your oldest.
She's my oldest.
Okay.
She's 16. And back in the olden days.
Back in the olden days.
The olden days.
Before you youths knew what things were. Yeah.
Yes. I would ride my fixie around the San Francisco Bay Area with her in a little trailer behind. And we would do like all of our errands that way. And I always wanted to get back to that. And then we move up here and it was like the nail in the coffin. Like, I'm not going to ride that fixie ever again.
Can't do it. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
We both just gave our fixies away.
Yeah.
We just gave them away. Oh, yeah.
It was like my sister-in-law.
Can't even really sell them.
Yeah.
They're not worth anything.
But you had a biking bug before. It was a different type
always
of bike.
It was a
Okay.
functional thing.
yeah.
It
Well,
was
I did a ton
point
of
A to point B.
But I would do road rides on the fixie, like full gas, 25 mile an hour road rides on the fixie.
On a fixie?
Yeah, super fun.
Wow.
You have to keep speed.
I want to try this.
Like a single speed, but you just get going and you just on the flats. You stay on the flats and you just time trial.
So you mentioned like a lifestyle change moving to Suncrest. So you had lifestyle, but there was a shift in it, which was adopting new habits and things, and being prepared is one of them. What else? Like you had a big winter here in 2000. Were you here in 12? So you had a big winter.
I think our first really big winter, I think it was 2018 was our like.
That's what I've heard.
It felt like the big one.
Yeah,
like
it was
the
a big
biggest.
one. I mean, the other winters were like, okay, like like once a season, you're like, okay, well, we're not going anywhere today.
And I bought a single stage snowblower and a bunch of shovels, and I just was fine. And then in that winter in 18, I just destroyed my shoulder trying to shovel it, and I was like, oh, I'm done. Went and bought
Threw out your whole shoulder.
completely like wrecked my shoulder.
Really?
It took me a couple of years to like rehab it. And so then we went and got our first real snowblower,
Yeah,
which lasted until the winter of
end of 23.
23. And I was like,
Oh, really?
23 murdered that snowblower.
I didn't know that was the same snowblower.
So I went and got like was it an Arians?
Yeah.
So now we got an Arians. Oh my goodness.
A little bit of a lifestyle change.
Everyone should just buy the Arians. Like, what? If I'd just known, I would have sucked it up and spent the
skip to
money
the
and bought the
end.
Arians.
If you're new up here, it's the orange ones.
The orange one.
You do not
Oh
go
my
to Home
goodness.
Depot. You go to the dealer, like the actual
I
independent.
think it's like the South Jordan dealer that everyone goes to.
Yeah.
It's one guy. His name's Steve. You buy it from him.
No, you
It's
walk
in the
in.
back.
You walk in there, and it is just it's a small shop, but
Yeah.
they sell the Suncrest a lot. They know us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And-
The sales gal, she was like, oh yeah, I know what you need. I'm like, awesome. Great.
And it wasn't the most expensive one either. It was like one of them. She's like,
Yeah.
and I was like, the motor on this, the engine on this isn't any bigger than the one I already have. She's like, oh,
No. It's different.
You don't worry about that. Okay. And so we get this thing, and the motor's the same size in cc's,
Yes.
but the horsepower output is like triple.
It's mine. It's
Yeah.
different.
There's no comparison.
No.
It's a different machine.
Like it's just right through, just charging through stuff. Doesn't get stuck, just destroys the snow.
Unless it's frozen, then it's just shear pins breaking every single
Yeah,
push,
but that's
right?
a-
yeah, that's a
but
different
that-
You just got to have a can of shear pins, like by the door, or in our case, the window. He just like opens the window,
Knock open the
grabs
window,
them.
grab the shear pins.
But like
replace
Tic
them.
Tacs.
For real. I think we went through like 20 shear
I went through a lot
pins
of
in
shear
the
pins.
winter
Wow.
of 22 to 23.
Yeah, that was a
We went through, and
That
3
many?
auger belts.
Yeah, well, that's why. Because we were on the earlier snowblower that was on
Oh, I
its.
see. I see.
The one
I see.
And I mean, it's fine. I sold it to a guy. He's using it. He's happy with
fixed
it.
it.
But like, he's not using it here. Yeah, not kind of winter. Like that thing is fine for
The valley.
regular snow.
Yeah. So people are probably wondering that haven't met you before, like, what do you do for work? Obviously, it's a question people want to know because you've been here for a long time. So you've paid the mortgage this whole time. You've done great with keeping the house and everything. What would you say your background of work is, and what do you guys work in? Do you stay home with the kids, or what is it that you do?
What don't we do? Just
don't
kidding.
we do?
Well, when we got up here, we got
Business.
She's a calligrapher. So when we got up here, that was just as we were launching.
A calligrapher.
Yeah.
We were launching calligraphy.org.
Yes. So,
And so the first few years we worked on that, and that was our business.
yep.
So the website, what did that entail?
So for me, it's largely like the social media hustle, which I'm really over right now.
You're over it?
I'm over it.
Aren't you good at it though?
I mean, it's a lot. It's
Check
every
out
day.
Elena's
It's all
course.
the
It's the
same.
best.
It's a moving target. Like,
Yes. So yeah, like social media and then class creation. So I right now, my favorite thing to do is create virtual classes for brands. So like Sakura, Speedball, I'm creating coursework with their materials in mind, and we use just their materials and highlight that. So
And
it's
you're
a
partnering
really,
with the actual brands. You're not doing it
Yes.
on your own as a hobbyist. You're actually with the brands.
Yeah, so I'm with the brand. And so we're partnering together with different projects and products and things like that. And it's nice because I'm not charging the consumer, I'm charging the
brand.
brand.
Yeah.
So, everybody kind of wins. The brand gets
Yeah.
better brand awareness. The consumer gets education on how to actually use the materials, because that's probably one of the most frustrating things for a beginner or even
Yeah.
an intermediate hobbyist. They're at the art store and they're like, I don't even know, what am I supposed to be doing with any of this stuff?
Yeah.
And
Do I use my left hand or my right hand? Which one do I start
which
with?
one? I don't know. Like, what are these materials going to be?
Yeah.
And so I get to work on demystifying those things for them.
So that's your latest venture.
That's my latest,
But you've
yeah.
had a history of success with calligraphy. What
Yes.
got you into calligraphy? I mean, it wasn't something you were born doing, right?
No, I've always loved letters. I was
Okay.
doing block letters in like my kindergarten stuff, like
Like
early
the training
days.
how to write things.
Like I have like all sorts of crazy lettering from when I was literally in kindergarten.
Really?
Yes. Yeah,
think
like
my-
1990. I've kept a journal since 1990, 90 or 89.
Back in the olden
Olden days. Yeah. In the 1900s.
The late 1900s, as those whippersnappers will say.
Right. I got exposed to calligraphy in 7th grade, so 1997-ish.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I did lettering. I had like my own little stationery business, but I was never really good at it. I never really sought out any professional education.
You were like young,
any-
just kind of self-learning.
Yeah, there was just a passion there. And then
Okay.
it wasn't until 2009 I inherited my great-great-grandfather's reference book. He was a sign painter and calligrapher up in Ogden, Utah.
Really?
And so I have this huge old 1800s book. And it was like this aha moment where I needed to get back into lettering.
have the book?
I still have the book, yeah. I mean, it's a cool piece of archives. You can get them on eBay every once in a while for like $500.
Sounds like Utah history more than just like an archive. Like it's something.
It's
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
Wow.
So yeah, I started calligraphy. It was really bad. but it was like really bad.
Now
It
we're
was
talking
so
bad, like,
janky.
because my headband it can't be that bad
No,
starting, because you
like-
were doing it as a kindergartner.
It was barely legible.
Very legible.
Because I didn't understand the tools and I didn't understand lettering theory. But then I had a blog at the time, and so I was posting all these cool projects and like super excited, and people were like, well, teach me how to do this. And I'm
You're like, let me
thinking,
tell you how incorrectly, really quick.
so, and I was not gonna do that. I was
No, you wanted to
there
be
was
honest.
no, I
Okay.
wanted
Yeah,
to make sure I knew what I was
yeah.
doing. So then that was actually when the actual learning started.
Really?
Well, I better know how to do this if I'm going to teach people how to do it.
So you were already together at that point when that was happening?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
she'd been doing her blogging, and that was back in the day when blogging could really work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she had this pretty successful blog, and so we got like 1,000 people on an email list signed up to take her class as soon as she launched it online.
A virtual class or?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you found
This
that.
was pre-Skillshare, pre-Pinterest,
Really? What year was this?
this was
2011.
2009 was when I started doing the
Okay.
calligraphy. 2010 was when I was starting teaching in-person classes.
You did it in person too. Okay.
And then 2011 we finally launched.
Would you host
the
them up
online.
here in Suncrest, or did you go to like a
No,
studio?
at the time we were
in Orem.
in Holiday or in Orem, and we did either different venues, like
Wow.
the Vintage Whites Market. It's like this cute vintage market, antiques market. So I'd go and I'd teach there. I'd just kind of find places to teach.
You just call them on the
Around.
phone. Hey, I have a handwriting class I want to do.
Yeah.
They're like, who are you?
Basically,
Did you show
be
up?
like, hey, let's get a class together, and I'd give them a portion of my fee, or they would shop. So there's a place called the Right Image. That's what it's called.
Okay.
It's a stationery shop in downtown Salt Lake. And so they wanted people to shop their store. So I'd bring in 15 people and we'd do a little workshop. We'd have a little dinner, and then afterwards they'd get a discount on everything in the store and they'd go crazy.
Really?
Yeah, so it was a win-win situation.
So you're doing kind of the same thing now, but with the digital front. So you're able to capture more people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Very cool.
yeah.
That's amazing.
So it's
And then Chris, you're silently over here nodding along.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I got into building websites for her,
yeah.
for myself. I
so
taught
you
myself
were
how to
part, like a
program.
team almost.
Because it's, again, pre-Skillshare. So what kind of platform, what kind of
Yeah.
technology are you, no Kajabi, no Thinkific, none of these platforms that exist now that people use for online teaching
I don't even know these
existed.
things.
I know. I don't know. She's made that up. But so
They're probably
I,
real.
Probably.
I taught myself how to program and built her first website and
Yeah.
became a programmer after that.
So whenever you didn't have the website, you sat down one night and you said, we need to make you a website. Was it that simple?
I said, you've got all
Yeah.
these people that want to take classes from you. We should probably make this a business,
Really?
but we need to have a website. And I had been learning how to code for the last year. So my first big application was for her.
Yeah.
And then a year later, we went full time. I quit my job. I'd gotten a programming job in the interim, went full time working with her for like 4 years.
So you had a job prior to programming.
Yeah, I got a programming job. I taught myself how to program. I was in finance. Finance was 07, 08, 09. It was terrible. So
Great years for finance.
yeah,
yeah.
I got out of Dodge.
Excellent.
I was looking for my out.
Yeah.
So I was teaching myself how to program on the job. Eventually, I got good enough. I was able to get a job.
Wow.
And then while I was working that job, I started working on her site, and then eventually quit and went all in and did that from 2012 to 2017 when
Wow.
market sort of changed.
Yeah, and markets naturally shift. You can't control it, but you can track where it's going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we couldn't seem to track it. We couldn't seem to follow it. So I went and got a regular job.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I went and got a programming job and went back to work on B2B SaaS.
B2B SaaS. Listen to that.
Yeah.
That lingo is great.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of B2B SaaSes up here. It's a sassy place.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
That
Yep.
is.
But now you have a full stack. Are you full stack then? That's the lingo I would say I know. Full stack like a Big Mac, every single layer.
I build stuff from scratch.
Yep.
So that's where that happened.
Well, and like forever, Chris is always waking up in the wee hours of the morning to just work on whatever projects and it's typically his own passion projects. He just, which is cool.
Do you have any new passion projects you've made? Like, I remember you were talking about something with Google Photos.
Yeah, I've got an app. I've got quiverphotos.com that lets you scrape your photos, your Google Photos to your hard drive.
It's called Quiver?
Quiverphotos.com.
Okay.
It's a really nasty problem. I ran into it trying to get my photos out of there, and it just couldn't get my photos out of Google Photos. And
It's almost like Google wants to keep your data.
yeah, almost like I don't care at all about you taking your data out. So
Say more.
I went on Reddit, and everybody was just these Reddit threads on the Google Photos subreddit. People just complaining like, how do I get this out? I'm trying to like
the metadata, right?
Well, yeah, they give you the
date,
photos,
the
but
time.
they strip the metadata out of them, and so you end up with these like bare photos.
So what's the metadata exactly? For those of us that don't know, what is metadata?
You want your location data, your geo data, and you want your dates particularly. That's what people care about.
Like when the
most.
photo was taken, like the phone or
the date it was taken, and the place it was taken, and then anything else is great too. Like everybody appreciates having like the
f-stop and the ISO.
f-stop
and all
or
that.
whatever, but most people don't actually use that.
No.
But it's the date.
What is that?
It's
I don't
the
know.
date
I don't
that
know.
matters the most. By far, it's the date, and the next thing down is the location.
Yeah.
So you're scraping that out from Google
Yeah.
and putting it into
Your hard drive.
Your computer.
So it's a
Your actual
desktop
physical box.
application that you run, and it opens up Google Photos, and you can see it open up Google Photos and go through and pull every file
Wow.
down individually.
And then how long does it take to pull out a library for like an average
Oh my
user?
goodness! For me, it takes a few hours for my little library. But I've got people that have messaged me.
Hundreds of thousands of photos.
Yeah, they'll be like,
They're-
oh, like it's been running for 3 days.
And it doesn't time out. It can make it
It just
all the way.
just keeps going.
Wow. And you self-made that from scratch?
Figured it out. Just figured it out.
Pretty brutal.
So do you carry that over into your hobbies as well? That's work. But your hobbies, you mentioned you mountain bike a lot. Do you
Yeah.
tend to work on your own bikes? Like what is your
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. I've built sheds in the backyard.
For the bikes.
For the bikes.
For the bikes.
I've built bikes.
Yep.
Bikes are still happening then.
I built some
Yeah.
wheels for the bikes. But that's just fun because you go on YouTube, you figure stuff out. It's enjoyable to build
Kind of relaxing.
new skill sets. Yeah, it's frustrating. It's hard. It's not like
Yeah.
an easy, relaxing thing. I'd say it's just it's fun. It's fun to figure it out. It's fun to have the result.
Yeah.
So I'm very result oriented in that sense.
So that still gives you a lot of it's like a feedback loop. It kind of gives you more by putting in more, so to speak. And then you do both of you race. Is that you both finished? I know you finished a race recently, so I'm going to bring that up because I think that's very interesting.
So years ago, my second year biking, I signed up for Park City Point to Point, which is out in
Park
Park
City.
City, and I just went and did it, which was crazy.
How many miles is that?
It's like 75 miles, 10,000 feet of vert. It's but it's heavy single track, so it's tricky trails. It's
Yeah.
hard work.
Chunky. It's fast. It's
And I was a young whippersnapper back then, so I just sort of did it.
yes.
What year was that? That was
I was
20
15, I think. 14 or 15.
14. I think you did it in 14, and then 17 and 21. Is that what it was?
That was 15,
15,
17. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so I did it. I did it that year, and then I did 15, and then 17, then 21, and then this year, got Melissa to do it with me.
So you're racing now, Melissa.
Yes.
So you got roped into biking, mountain biking, because Chris roped you in, or did you rope yourself in?
It
Is
was
that the
kind
right
of a
term?
funny. I mean, it was a very slow roping in.
Slow roll. Let's use a
Very
bike
slow
pun.
roll.
Oh my
Very
gosh.
slow roll. I mean, to the point where man, he's so patient.
So frustrating. It's like
He seems so patient.
I'm like, you really want to do this? Okay, maybe a little bit. I want to buy you a bike. Okay, I buy her a bike. She's like, cool. Are you gonna ride it?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Eventually,
so if it was like hunting, you'd be like, you want to hunt, Melissa. You want to shoot ducks.
it was like getting into the pool, like literally one toe at a time, just
Oh,
like
okay.
the slowest process. So he bought me my first mountain bike, a Trek Stash, single speed, rigid, so no suspension.
Super comfortable. Yeah.
It was a 29 plus tire, so there was a little bit
Huge tires. The tires are this tall. It was crazy.
of this tall.
No,
this
They were big.
no,
they were big.
How big was it again? Can I fit it on the screen?
Yes. So I mean, it was the soft, like the sweet spot between capable, inexpensive, and really easy to maintain.
Still
So
a very
there was-
popular bike today, yeah?
No,
No, it didn't do that well.
no. It's kind
It
of
did
like
well for bikepackers like it.
yeah. So it's like a cross between a gravel bike, a bike packing bike, a fat bike, but not quite a fat bike, and a mountain bike.
So it's similar to the Fixie situation where it was a
Yeah.
master of none but did everything.
Yeah, and I think that's what I needed
Okay.
because I was too intimidated by gears at first. I was like, well, I don't want to.
What do I do?
What do I do?
Okay.
Too many things to think about.
That bike had a dropper post and brakes.
That was it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and pedals, but.
Okay.
So he got me into it and he's like, okay, yeah, this is like super fun. And I would do just like a 2-mile loop. Like maybe
Just here in Suncrest.
Just here in Suncrest.
Tiny
Little
loop.
2-mile loop.
Like now that's like our
Once a
walking
month.
loop. That's like our walking loop now.
Yeah. It was like once a month. I'm like, I'll go for
You were
a
like
loop.
getting
was like-
the pit vipers on, you're ready to go because
Yeah.
it was crazy. Okay.
Yeah. And then one day, Chris was like, we should do Jacobs.
Which is a trail up the hill if you're not familiar
Yes.
with it.
And
It's the most technical trail here.
yes.
Or it was at the time.
And so he takes me down Jacobs on, well, I think we had added gears at this point. So
Yeah.
there were gears, but it was still
Okay.
a hardtail. It was
Fully rigid.
fully rigid. I've never said more swear words at you.
Yeah, she was really angry.
I was really angry. I was like, this is my, and I'm yelling and swearing, and I'm to the point where he gets to a stopping point,
Yeah.
drops his bike, and runs up the hill
Really? This
to
happened?
carry my bike down for me. I was like,
Were you using the clip-in pedals too, or you snapped?
no, they were flats.
Okay.
Yeah.
We tried.
I bought her all the clipless stuff and she wouldn't use it.
That's kind of intense though. It was on the stash?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And
It's a
so
bumpy ride.
we eventually I upgraded to a stump jumper, and that was a transformative experience. That was like literally right before we met you guys.
Was it that?
Yes.
Was it really then?
Seriously.
No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
And
know, I
well,
came
and she
in
was
that
still
side of the-
really scared at Jacobs until one day we were down riding in Hurricane.
Oh, yeah.
We went down to Hurricane to ride.
Commonly
and-
mispronounced hurricane.
Yeah.
For those.
Yes.
Don't say that. And we ran into some dude, and I was looking for a trail, and then we pull off, and we run into some guy in a camper van, some older guy in a camper van, and we just start hitting it up, talking to him. He's like, "Oh, you should ride with the shop ride, over the edge shop ride." I'm like, okay.
Okay.
And then we get in the car, and I'm like, "Yeah, we should, huh?" And so we went to the shop at like 8 a.m. and everybody was there, and we hopped in our cars and we followed him up, and we rode guac. Was it guac?
Yeah. it was
Guacamole? We rode
Yeah.
guacamole together, and there were some ladies
Yeah.
who towed you in.
So biking for me at the beginning, the only person I really ever rode with was Chris. I never rode with women.
And she didn't trust me. Like she just didn't.
I
She
did
couldn't.
not.
She could not trust me.
Yeah. Any
Like,
smart wife
Well,
doesn't.
I
fully trust
ride
her
it,
husband.
and she's like, "Well, I'm gonna die."
Yeah.
Yes. So then there's like this lady conga line off of this, like,
Lady Congo line.
seriously, off this, what was it?
All the ladies got up on top of this this big rock
Really?
and rode off of the rock together like lemmings.
Yeah.
And she was at the back,
I was like, well, I guess we're doing it.
and she rode off the rock, and I was like, "Oh, what?"
Did you record it or?
We got pictures.
We've got a photo.
We got a photo. Yeah, I took a
It's
picture.
like, I think it is the photo that's my Strava photo.
Yeah.
It is like,
Is it?
that is the photo.
Yeah, she like came. It was like a 5 foot something tall rock face, but it was just really sketchy, and I did not want to ride it. And she rode it, and then she realized that she could roll these things as well as anybody.
I figured, oh, wait, you can trust your bike to do things.
Yeah. Like you could trust Chris to do things.
Yes.
Yeah. So then she just started showing me up, and then so now when we go ride those kinds of rock rolls, sometimes she'll ride it, and I have to ride it too. It's like, oh darn it,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's scary.
He's more cautious in his twilight years now. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just really don't want to crash on those rocks.
No.
Falling 5+ feet down a rock face is just really bad, and so sometimes I don't feel like it. But if she's gonna do it, then I don't know, like it peer pressures me into it.
Yeah.
Love it. So mountain biking's a big part of your relationship, big part of why you stay in Suncrest, I'm imagining.
Oh, yeah. It's so nice to not commute to the
Yeah.
trails.
But also there's another part of your life I haven't spoken about, but you have kids.
Oh, yeah. We do have kids.
You have kids.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about them at all?
No.
No?
Absolutely
All right,
not.
that's the end, folks.
Keep them out. Keep them out of this. No. Our oldest,
Cuties.
our oldest is 16.
Okay, oldest is 16. How many
That's
kids
Penelope.
total? Yeah.
Yep. Our middle is Felix. Most people know me as Felix's mom.
They
Yep.
know you as Felix's mom.
Yes.
Explain that to those
He's our incredibly gregarious son. He has special needs, and he's just the most tender-hearted, excited about everything kid. And he
Yep.
just runs around the neighborhood making friends.
He wants to pet your dog.
We should have him on this podcast one day.
Oh, he will talk your ear off.
We need to hear everything. Minecraft is what I've heard.
Oh my God.
Minecraft, Pokemon cards, Bakugan, Beyblades.
It's
He
pretty
will.
painful.
He does get you sold on the idea of a lot of these things, though. Like
Oh,
he's
for sure.
It's so well-founded passion. You're like, I think I might buy some Beyblades.
Yeah, I think he has convinced some grown adults to buy Beyblades. Just
Yeah, I was Googling around. I'm like, I might buy a couple of these. I haven't bought them yet, but
Yeah.
I might.
Don't. We have plenty.
I-
We'll give you some of his Beyblades.
So Felix is the middle.
So Felix is the middle, and then June is our youngest. She's 10, almost 10.
Little Juniper turns 10 in a few days.
Yep. and
10 years old.
I know, we're now in like double digits. I feel
Wow.
I identify as a parent of toddlers, but I'm really not. I'm not. I'm a parent of teens and
Really?
tweens. Yes.
Yes.
And it's a different situation.
So
sure.
16, Felix is
13.
13,
In 10.
and then 10. Wow, that's a full house.
It is.
Yeah.
It's fun. They
Yeah.
keep us on our toes for sure.
Increasing
The girls-
deodorant needs.
Yes.
You need another bathroom, right? You had two, you had one now, you need two again.
Oh,
For you or
dude,
for the
no, I
kids?
just got to teach my son to
kids.
take a shower by himself. Like, not.
Yeah.
He needs to shower every day.
Yes.
Every day, maybe twice a day. And he
We're
doesn't
in that
want to
phase.
shower ever.
The Axe body spray phase is what I call it. You know,
Yeah.
the locker room phase.
Yeah, we're not doing Axe body
Yeah.
spray. We're
Just general cleanliness would be much preferred
Yeah.
than anything else. But it's fun. The kids. So our girls are very creative and artistic, and they're just constantly making fun, creative messes.
creative messes. So
Yes.
they take after maybe both of you a little bit.
Yes.
no.
And then Felix just makes food messes. He'll just eat, and he just eats all
He
their
just
food.
mostly he eats and plays video games, and that's it.
That sounds like a happy kid to me.
He sleeps,
He is.
eats, and plays
Isn't
video
that all of
games.
our goals, just to sit and eat at some point?
Well, and his whole life will probably just be one cycle of sitting, eating, and playing video games.
Which I could get behind, you know?
Yeah.
I would like to do that.
His name means happy, and we didn't realize to what extent, like what we were signing him up for. Basically, we
Yeah.
were just giving this is your life, dude.
That's a great,
You're
I
just
didn't even
gonna
think
be
about
happy.
that. Yeah.
He's a
Yeah.
happy kid.
Yeah.
He's gonna be.
Until you take his Switch away, he's super happy.
It switches his mood pretty quick. It's
Oh
like on
my
a switch.
goodness!
Yeah.
You lock. We have to lock our fridge. So we lock our fridge. He doesn't like that. He doesn't like it when we take the Switch away. He doesn't like
Yeah.
doesn't like it when we take the remote away and turn off the television.
What does he do like, though? He likes the games, food.
He loves playing with his friends.
Playing
He
with
loves
friends.
going
Social-
on
he's
the
social.
trampoline. He loves, and that's one of the things that's really unique and special about this neighborhood is that, when we realized that Felix had special needs, there's a certain mourning process, and it's not because I'm afraid of a kid with special needs. That's not it. It's just
No.
you're like, okay, well, life is different. We don't know what to expect, right? I did not expect the amount of kids, like the revolving door of kids coming and asking to play with Felix. Like everybody
Really?
wants to be Felix's friend. And I don't know that it's unique to us or this, I don't know what it is. I feel like this neighborhood is special in that way.
It's an interesting dynamic we never would have predicted.
No.
As he's gotten older, his friends stay the same age. So he's friends with like
6-year-olds.
6-year-olds. No.
Okay, so he's got
But this
6, 7.
6, 7,
Yeah.
8-year-olds love playing with Felix. He's like their really big friend
Yeah.
who is 100% on their level.
And just super fun.
Yeah.
And it's just, I feel like it's a special situation, and I love it.
So he runs all over the neighborhood trading Pokemon cards with all the 6-year-olds in the neighborhood. And it's just a party.
Yeah.
Non-stop
And that's
party.
that's kept you drawn in. Beyond the biking and everything else, the people have kept you here more than anything. That's
Oh,
what I'm
yeah.
understanding.
I feel like we've made really good friends.
A lot of friends.
We've made some really good friends here.
I'm just the host. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Oh, you and Kelsey are the best. We love
Oh,
you
thank
guys.
you. Well, I love people meeting people I know. So I want people just to be comfortable meeting people in the neighborhood, and you guys made it so easy for us. I can only ask that you return the favor and everyone meet you, because you're great friends to have, but even better neighbors. So everyone that doesn't know Chris and Melissa, please introduce yourselves if they're walking around on the street, or don't.
Or don't. It's fine.
Do the introvert thing if you want. But yeah, the goal of the podcast is to get people, like talking to each other. COVID was a tough time. So I'd say this is kind of a reaction to COVID. But I think that you guys represent a lot of the embodiment of Suncrest, the old Suncrest, but also you're incorporating Edge Homes now. You're bringing in more people.
Yeah.
We're bringing in a bigger family of people.
Okay.
Chris is a little bit
Oh my
hesitant.
gosh.
It's not just Edge Homes. It's all of the homes.
All of them.
Yeah. Only one rolled off the hill. The rest are fine.
Two.
Yeah.
2 rolled off.
No, 2 fell off.
Was it 2?
Yeah, it's 2 homes.
Yeah, it was 2.
We forget. We like to forget that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks for jumping on today, guys. I think we're about at the time limit. People get like, I can go back to work or whatever. So we'll cut it there. Thanks for jumping on. And I don't know how to close this thing, so you guys can close it for me.
Don't. You don't even have to close it. Just cut it like an
right.
80s song.
All right.
Yeah,
and
it's just
cut.
like slowly fading.
We just shrink in our chairs. Okay, I'll cut it there.
All right.
Thanks, guys.